intercepted in Amritsar. These missiles were seen flying over Amritsar, a city in India's border with Pakistan, prompting a swift response from the Indian defense system. This has been a big victory. I remember last night we could see unverified visuals on social media about air sirens, air drills being pointed and carried out, and sirens blaring out in Amritsar. Now we understand the full truth of what really happened, and this has been a very big victory for Indian forces, because we can confirm that Pakistani missiles were indeed intercepted at outside Amritsar, and these missiles were seen flying over Amritsar, which is of course right next to the India's border with Pakistan. This prompted a swift response from the Indian defense system, and they were able to intercept these missiles in order to ensure that there was absolutely no damage caused to any sort of military or civilian infrastructure in and around Amritsar. So once again, Pakistan's dirty strike to try and target civilian and military installations in India, something which India did not do as part of Operation Sindoor yesterday, has been thwarted. Pakistani missiles were intercepted, and because of the far-sightedness of the Modi government, there was also mock drills which were being carried out. There were drills which were in place, and safety protocols such as blackout and camouflaging measures were used in Amritsar in order to ensure that none of these missiles could hit the target, and there was no damage caused by them. Let me go across to my colleague Pradeep, who's joining us live at this point. Pradeep, this is a very big victory for the Indian forces, because unlike Pakistan, which could not intercept a single one out of those 24 missiles which slammed into Pakistani soil previous to last night, this time there were all the missiles which were fired by Pakistan which came towards Amritsar were intercepted by Indian forces.
Yes, you're absolutely right. A great victory for Indian forces, because India was well prepared to deal with any kind of a situation. India knew that after Operation Sindoor, the 24 to 48 hours are going to be very critical and crucial, and Pakistan will definitely try to do so. And they tried to fire missiles. They wanted to target Amritsar, but Indian air defense system was like a Suraksha Kavach, was able to demolish these missiles, and debris of those missiles were recovered near Jetwal village in Majita. That clearly shows that there is an intent. One, offensive defensive strategy of India seems to be working. When I say offensive strategy, we have already seen that they have proved it with the Operation Sindoor, where they fired in 25 minutes 24 missiles. 9 of those terror dens were completely demolished and 70 terrorists killed. And when I talk about the defensive strategy, you can see this, how this Iron Shield, the air defense system S-400 that they have procured from Russia, that seem to be working. There are 2 air defense systems. One is the land, what that is kept on the land, other is the airborne. That means Indian aircraft also were vigilant. They knew that Pakistan will definitely try to go for any kind of a misadventure. They will try to target any of their targets, because their aircraft failed to come closer to India. Though they fired missiles, but you can see what really has happened to this Pakistani missile that came from across the border, and they were completely demolished, decimated, and the debris of those missiles were fired lying in one of the fields there in Jetwal village in Majita. That clearly indicates that how well prepared India is, because this was not something that they had planned in a day. It took them about 10 to 14 days to exactly plan that operation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was himself monitoring that operation from day one. Ever since he came from Saudi Arabia, he had been interacting with officials. Then there was a war room meeting in which all the tri-service chiefs were present. CDS was present, also Defense Minister was present. And that was the time when he decided that this operation should be named Operation Sindoor. And we've already seen how the women officers, they briefed the world, because the idea was basically when one of the women, her husband was killed. But she said that, why you are killing my husband? Why don't you kill me too? The terrorists that time said, go and tell your Modi. And see, now the women officers are briefing the world that what really they have done to those Pakistani terrorists. The terror clan of Masood Azhar has been completely wiped out. 9 terror dens completely demolished, decimated, razed to rubble. And this was a clear-cut message that this was Mazboot India, this was Modi's India. Here, what actually the Pakistan deep state was not dealing with the sheep state, but they were dealing with Mazboot Bharat. And Mazboot Bharat has already given a message with the offensive defensive strategy. Offensive strategy was Operation Sindoor, and defensive strategy already we have seen how our defenses are there to prevent any kind of movement from across the border. And see what they have done to these missiles that were fired from Pakistan's side with an intent to target Amritsar area. But they didn't succeed in their nefarious, sinister plot.
Absolutely, Pradeep. And this also indicates Pak's cowardice here, because when Operation Sindoor was carried out yesterday night, India was very clear. It did not strike any military installations. It did not strike any civilian installations, even though, as was evidence, we had the capability to do both at this point. In fact, let me go across to my colleague Priyank, who's joining us live as well. Priyank, bringing you in on that same point of discussion, Pakistan's intent once again lies exposed. We did not target any civilian installations. We did not target any military installations. We only targeted terror camps. Yet, when Pakistan tried to target Amritsar, it was evidently aimed at the military installations in and around Amritsar and the civilian population. Fortunately, of course, Pakistan's incompetence and India's abilities ensured that these strikes were thwarted.
See, Ritanshu, we have to see from India's statement where we have clearly mentioned that we have not tried to target any military installation. So what was left for them? They know it for the fact that the moment they will attempt to target any of the military installation, there will be a full-fledged war, and Pakistan cannot survive the war for more than 3 to 4 days of time period. It's a very known fact. I beg your pardon. So at this moment, just to satisfy their arcas, the Pakistani army are trying to target on the civilian installation, civilian places, which has been seen in the Uri sector from where we were reporting yesterday and from where our colleagues have also been reporting. Teshi has also shown the report from the Punch sector. So it is a very known fact that Pakistanis have failed to give a so-called befitting reply, which they have given the statement to their people of the country. But at this moment, since they are rattled, they are using these mortars and missiles towards India. We have got one more report which has been verified, although there have been so many videos, pictures which are viral on social media platform. So we are first verifying it before we can bring it to our viewers. What we have got to know that there is a village 30 kilometers away in Amritsar area at Jutewal where the missiles were fired, but because of the anti-missile system which India has, the missile was broken into 3 pieces. It fell down in the farm area, and this incident happened around 1:05 in the midnight.
Absolutely.
So these are the kind of attempt which is being made by the Pakistanis, and what we have seen in Lahore is also quite clearly showing that they were trying to use the drone. It fell down on themselves.
Exactly. I mean, if it's a comedy of errors, in fact, if it won't be for the serious consequences involved of Pakistan's foolish antics. Thanks a lot, Pradeep, and also Priyank, for joining me with those updates. With that, it's time for a short commercial, but on the other side, news and updates continue on Times Now's rolling coverage on Operation Sindoor. Stay tuned.